From Atlanta,
where we hope to be filming a new series of My Mother the Car real soon.
It's the 9 Billion Names of Pod with Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm both an analyst and a therapist.
So, let's talk about some stuff.
Let's do that.
Interesting phenomenon going on at this present moment, or at least a notable one that has kicked off. Let's just say the X-Files is back.
It is.
The X-Files is back,
and it's not on Netflix.
It's not on. It's actually on Fox. Yeah,
it came back to its original network. So that happened.
Yeah.
We're today, I think we're going to talk about the return of the X-Files, but also the somewhat recent-ish phenomenon of resurrecting old TV shows.
Old properties, yeah.
So, but first, the X-Files. Now, what is your history with the X-Files?
It was appointment TV for the first 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Like when it premiered, I was living in New York, and I had roommates at the time, and that was Friday night. It was, we would get pizzas and beers and whatever, and we always watched the X-Files live. Well, you couldn't watch it any other way else.
Well, you did have VCRs back in the day.
Yeah, we did. That's true. But we watched that as it was. Right. So. I was deep into the X-Files when it was on. It seemed to start to fall apart near the end, or the later seasons.
I would say the last 3 seasons, with the last one being just completely falling apart.
I think I bailed out right before. Was it Robert Patrick
and
Annabeth Gish? When Scully,
it was basically like getting was it Vance and Coy Duke? It's like, we got a blonde one, we got a brown hair one, so fuck it.
Yeah, I don't think I've even seen those episodes. I think I watched one of the Robert Patrick ones later after,
and they're both fine actors.
Yeah, but that's
just
not
it's
the episodes.
Yeah, it's iconic with Duchovny and
Gillian Anderson. Yeah,
exactly. And the thing that I respect about this return is that they're doing 6.
Yeah,
they're following. I'm just going to call it the British model.
That's exactly what it is.
Less is more.
Yeah,
we have a story that can be told well in 6 episodes. Well, we really like 12. No. Network or whoever, I've got a story in 6. You take that or you fuck off.
I don't even know if it's that. I think it's we're only going to give you 6.
Well, Duchovny has said in interviews oh yeah, I wouldn't mind coming back. Not for a full season. We're not going to resurrect the show as a going concern that. But it basically is an extended miniseries kind of event.
Yeah, and even I heard an interview with Chris Carter, and he said if they want more, we're all ready to do more. We're already, if he said we're going to see other ratings too, and they did huge for that first one, 13 million,
13.5.
That's Walking Dead numbers, that's pretty good.
And even after, because there's they have the metrics where they watch who is watching after the first 5, because there's usually a significant drop off.
Yeah,
not much here.
And it was also, it went late. It started late because of the football game before it.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started on hearing everyone screaming dare you make us watch football? Believe me, I have as little interest in football as anybody could possibly have.
Yeah.
But it's just get
over it.
Just chill out, dude. Good God. Now, I understand if you're doing something and you have to TiVo it and you get 15 minutes of football and you miss 15 minutes of the X-Files.
That happened all the time.
Now, that I get. And Fox is notorious for that. With when Simpsons are supposed to start at 8 o'clock on Sunday, they have their football wrap-up show. They have to, now you've watched the thing. Now watch us talk about the thing that you just watched.
For 25 minutes.
It's no, we're coming up against 8 o'clock. You know what? We'll say the pertinent shit and be done with it.
Well, it was also one of the factors that went into the death of Firefly too, because they moved it around, and one or two of the episodes were on Sunday, and it was 45 minutes off of where it should have been, because whatever game it was went long. It might have been baseball at that point, but it was
sports versus nerds.
Yeah.
the nerds don't have a good average against those sports.
Right. That score one for Netflix because we can turn off the network and put
Exactly.
it
But the thing is,
whenever we want.
I mean, if you're waiting for Netflix to start streaming the new X-Files, you got a ways to wait.
It's on Hulu.
Is it? Well, I think because Fox is a part owner.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I know NBC has a stake in it because you can tell who has.
CBS does not because I can't find freaking Supergirl on there.
Well, aside from I guess Supergirl and Big Bang Theory, most of the programming, in my opinion, just appeals to the 60+ crowd. I know I'm wrong there, but geriatric is the first word that comes into my brain when I think of CBS.
The only CBS show we watched regularly and only fell off because we just got overloaded with stuff was the original NCIS, the Mark Harmon one. It was a great show. But it's going into like season 12 or something like that. It's crazy.
How many fucking naval crimes can there be?
More than you'd think.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it works. Thanks,
Obama. Apparently, our Navy is
killing all them sailors.
Everyone's dying, committing crimes and stuff like that. What the hell's wrong?
Right. But
we need President.
Don't say it. Don't even joke.
Oh,
don't even joke.
Oh, it tastes even worse the second time. Swallow that.
But getting back to the X-Files, that was total appointment television, and
I didn't even know that they were doing the 1-2 because I know they do that sometimes. The usual slot was Monday. I happened to catch it on Sunday. Like, oh, it's a Sunday show. And then I realized, oh my God, I only have to wait 24 hours for episode 2. Motherfucker!
Yeah. I saw at least the first movie. Was it Fight the Future?
Fight the Future. And that actually was a conspiracy-centered film.
Right.
And then after that, nothing until, hey, let's do an X-Files film. Okay. And they don't mess with the conspiracy. It's
at
like
all.
Some standalone, like, we don't give a shit about this. We want to know what's going on with the alien colonization or the hybrids.
That's the problem I always have with the X-Files.
Well, because there's only so much that they can parse out. They have to go with Freak of the Weeks, and I get that. I understand that.
That's not it. That's not the problem. I like the I don't want to say juxtaposition, but I like
the balance
of I like the Freak of the Week,
right?
With the it's like Doctor Who. They do that. They have their Adventure of the Week with the overarching story.
And this one will be a Dalek episode, and this one will have the Master,
right? But then you'll get a little glimpse of the hybrid or Madame Bavarian or whatever it is that's going to be your overarching theme. The problem I have with the X-Files was the arc didn't ever pay off or make any sense. Or there was bees and there was aliens, but there weren't aliens, and it was his sister and it wasn't his sister. And
the Smoky Man is alive. Is he dead?
He's dead. He's alive. He's smoking out of a hole in his neck.
At this point, we're gonna move towards talking about the 2 new episodes.
So spoiler territory.
And it's not going to be the entirety of the episode. We'll move on to other resurrected shows. But if you have not seen the first 2 episodes of the Return of the X-Files, you might want to fast forward ahead a little bit.
Or give yourself a pause and come back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What are you doing listening to this and not watching the X-Files?
Right. Hey, you're back.
Great. Hey, you're back. Excellent. So, I think that the return, as far as the conspiracy, wonderful. They channeled it into a way that makes absolute perfect sense. That, yes, there are aliens, but it's not aliens in the way that you think that they're aliens.
Yes, I really enjoyed that first episode.
And they grounded it. They grounded that shit. Because all this nefarious stuff that's happening that they chalk up to aliens, nope, it's us. It's our government.
It's our government.
And it feeds right into, the Republican delusion that government is evil and can't do anything wrong. So elect me to that government, and I'll be different.
But they basically he flipped the script on it. It's yes, Roswell crash happened, and yes, the alien, but it was the aliens aren't visiting us. It's all a ploy by the government to throw off Mulder, or at least for some reason he's the target of it.
Well, they let him
chase the dragon, and that was that they were dropping breadcrumbs for him to face, so that he would never stumble upon what was really going on.
Which is Roswell happened. We got the ship. We got the alien.
We shot it in the head. that moment was
pissed me off. Like,
so much.
He looks afraid. The alien is afraid. He's crawling away. Help! I mean, you could start out. Nope. Bam, 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 bam.
Not for nothing. It made perfect sense. I was like, yeah, that's probably really what would have happened.
That just pisses, because the first thing I was like, oh, it's a creature. He's not attacking.
No,
he's being cool.
He's hurt.
He's hurt. Let's see if,
make contact. No, he's dangerous.
We're
we have to kill it.
And then we're going to basically rape his body and his ship for all sorts of tech.
Yep.
Which is apparently what has been the source of a lot of the shenanigans that we've seen in the X-Files thus far.
Reverse engineering.
And this and that, and maybe that explains to some degree the Fluke Man, the one thing that stands. Remember the guy?
I remember the Fluke Man. They even showed him in the intro. That was a great intro, too.
Yeah, and they kept, they didn't like, hey, it's new hip-hop X-Files theme. Nope, same
exact credits. I loved that. It's like, here, it's the X-Files.
So people 50 years from now, when they're watching, they'll just jump into season 10. Is this? I think this is 10.
Yeah, that's how it's listed on Hulu. It's season 10. It's not even, the new whatever.
Right, it's a short season.
Yep.
So, and that, the one thing that I wasn't too thrilled about, they haven't really gone into what's going on between Mulder and Scully in the interim between, I'm guessing, the last film and now. I think they said it was 14 years since the closure of the X-Files.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not remembering correctly, but they had a kid. She gave it up for adoption, but then there's memories of I'm a little lost there, and that's probably because I don't remember the last couple seasons very well at all.
Right. I watched the second episode today, as a matter of fact, and I'm not as jazzed on the second episode as I was the first. It seemed like there was
because the government blew up the fucking floaty ship.
Yeah.
Goddamn government.
But
and what's up with Joel McHale? I'm sorry, that casting sucks. I
think it might have been a misstep. But
he's a good actor. He's
not that guy. Yeah,
he's not there's just not that gravitas. I hate to keep using that word, but there's nothing grounding that his portrayal of it just doesn't work.
I'm not buying that.
Yeah, but I'll overlook it because hey, Mulder and Scully are back. But
but there was a lot of in that second episode. There was a lot to me of like, we have to find the reclusive doctor who no one's seen for a while. Oh, I know how to find him, and now we're talking to him, and now he's in the office. It was a lot of Deus Ex Machina, a lot of just we're just gonna keep going over that.
Chase
stuff.
the MacGuffin.
Just a lot of loose ends and just like, wait, they did what now? How did they get to that? And why did they do that?
But keep in mind, this is the X-Files, so I will wait until the 6-episode arc is completed. Then I will render final judgment. As of right now, I'm like, I'm not really feeling that, but okay.
Right, and it was kind of the same thing. It's definitely, like we said, it's a truncated season, but the first episode was the alien conspiracy, and this was a Freak of the Week episode. Kinda. It was. I guess it leaned into.
Well, the human. Genome splicing or whatever of the kids with the deformities.
But they were chasing the kid and the feedback in the head.
But it still tags into the alien conspiracy. So it's in there. For me, a Freak of the Week is something that's completely outside of the conspiracy.
Right.
And who knows? Maybe by the end of these 6 episodes, all those Freak of the Weeks are like, oh, it's tied together because this happened.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Or the government did this, and that caused Fluke Man, or all these other things to happen. Right. So we'll see, because obviously if you're fucking with the human genome, things that you don't expect to happen will happen.
Yeah.
So
there were some messed up kids in that hospital.
Oh, yeah. And some of those diseases I remember seeing, those actually are conditions.
Yeah, the kid that looked like the tree bark.
That's a
real.
condition.
That is
actually
real.
Yeah.
I watched one of those, whatever it was, TLC documentaries about
the someone who has like tumors that grow, makes them look like a bubble man.
Yeah.
Or something
or
like that.
Wood. Like
yeah. And that shit actually exists.
That's real. Yeah,
so
crazy.
I like that kind of writing, because it's like these things, we don't know what happens. Well, the X-Files comes along and says, here's why it happened.
Yeah, exactly.
They went into this little village in Peru and they fucked with, and
using the alien DNA that they have,
and of course it goes right into people like, yeah, the U.S. government would do that.
Oh yeah, there's plenty.
We would totally do
real
that.
conspiracy.
And even I, who's not a conspiracy theorist, like, yeah, our government would do that shit.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I'm not a conspiracy theorist either, but I don't have any. I have no problem believing the government lies to us all the time.
Oh yeah,
all the time.
Benghazi, wham.
Well, that's all.
Why did Hillary Clinton kill all those people? She murdered them with her bare hands.
That ties into the whole X-Files thing, because I think all that shit is smokescreen. That's like, hey, look over here, this Benghazi shit, and because we're doing all this crazy shit on.
Now, speaking of screens made out of smoke, the final scene of the second episode. That motherfucker's alive.
It was the first episode.
Was it? No, it was the
second? No, it was the first.
Was it the first?
It was the first episode. Yeah, with him, cigarette smoking man
coming out of his tracheotomy hole.
Yeah, yikes! Which is very cool and fucked up.
Well, the last thing I remember of the smoking man was that they bombed some cave he was in, and there was a wall of fire coming towards him.
Don't know.
And I don't remember anything about him after that. Obviously he survived. Thank God that was it Philip V. Vance? Can't remember the actor's name, but thank God he's still around to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the baddie. He's the good.
He is the bad guy. Yeah.
I mean, he's I'm digging that. And they got Skinner back.
Skinner.
I mean, all the main the four main players. They got him back.
Yeah.
I find it really weird that hey Scully, I need your help. Hey, I'm a doctor, but okay, I'll stop all that and become an FBI agent again.
Right.
And judging by the little teaser they did for the third episode, it almost looks like it's going to be a Freak of the Week episode.
I didn't watch the preview.
And I'm like, well, they have to, explore, examine, investigate this weird phenomenon. And I'm like, that strikes me as kind of Freak of the Week. I really hope that they don't do that. I want to stay on the conspiracy. They've set it up in 2 episodes very nicely.
And there's only 6. So
right. I mean, if
you don't need any filler.
Right. I mean, if you have to do one palate cleanser episode, I suppose, but please don't.
But why would you?
There's enough to... The thing is that if they're ready to do more, let's face it, once they firmly and conclusively, this is what happened with the aliens, here's all that's going down, where does it go from there? Now, I can think of some places where it can go, but that's the main nucleus of that show. Right. Once you pull out the conspiracy, then it kind of falls apart a little bit unless the solving of the conspiracy, like, okay, now we know this. Holy fuck, what does that mean? Because it'll, kind of like an episode of Lost. All right, now we know what the hatch does, but what the fuck is this island?
That's the beauty of it. Like, you answer a question, and then it just opens up a whole bunch of more questions.
Right, and that's why Republicans have to have 72 hearings on Benghazi. So what kind of blade did you use to slit the ambassador's throat, Mrs. Clinton? No. Anyway.
Let me, you may not have a memory of this, but do you have a favorite X-Files episode that you can think of?
Ooh.
Because I do. I know exactly which I would consider my favorite episode of the X-Files.
The baseball one.
Which is the baseball one?
I damn remember. I just remember it was really good. It's been 15 fucking years. I mean, I was still in junior high when these came out.
Sure you were. Yeah,
that's it. I just remember loved it. Not loving it so much. What the fuck is going on last season? Oh dear God, I'm barely scraping by.
Yeah,
kind of like it was with Smallville.
Oh, I bailed the Smallville about the same time. Yeah, 2/3 of the way through where it fell apart.
I was ready to kill it, and then it said the final series. Like, you fuckers.
I watched the final season because they did a whole Justice Society thing with Hawkman and all that stuff, and I watched the final episode, but I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on in the show anymore.
No, what is your?
I don't recall the title, but it was the episode with Peter Boyle. Did you ever see that one where he was the psychic?
Yes.
Is it? He put such a brilliant performance.
Peter Boyle was a very underrated actor.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, basically, there are 2 things that most people remember him for. Bring on the ridge.
And everyone was raining.
And exactly. And there's a lot more to him than that.
He won an Emmy Award for. Did he do a Patty Chayefsky? I believe he did. I believe he won an Emmy for a Patty Chayefsky TV movie, unless I'm thinking of somebody else. But he's just a venerable character actor.
That's one of the great things, a feature that you can have in a show where you have the standalones. You can bring in a lot of guest stars.
Yeah,
Bryan Cranston was in X-Files,
which is where,
and that's why Chris Carter went, huh. Yeah, or not Chris Carter. Vince Gilligan, who wrote on the X-Files.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm not saying Breaking Bad wouldn't have happened without X-Files, but it probably wouldn't be the same show if X-Files hadn't.
Well, it was funny. I was watching CBS Sunday Morning this morning, and they were doing a piece on Bob Odenkirk and Better Call Saul.
Because it's coming back, baby.
Yeah. But it was what struck me was so funny. They were talking about, Odenkirk's pedigree, which is comedy, and how great he was in the show. And Vince Gilligan said, I believe that you get a comedic actor, we know they can do drama great. But the
I've said that. How many times have I said that?
And he said the opposite is not always true.
Right.
And I'm sitting there I was laughing at it because they neglected to mention that Cranston came from comedy as well.
Really? Yeah. As soon as I saw the promos for the premiere of Breaking Bad, it's like the guy whose wife shaved his back hair at the breakfast table.
Exactly.
What the fuck? Yeah. And he pulled it off like a motherfucker. Mm-hmm. And now he's probably I would think one of the most in demand actors around.
Oh yeah, I want to see that Trumbo movie that he did.
It's on my Netflix list. And he what did he do? He did LBJ on Broadway.
He did. Yep.
So that's thank you X-Files.
Yeah.
For that, the pedigree. So we'll see where it goes. I mean, if Chris Carter has said if they want more, we'll do more. That tells me that he is not going to. This is not all right, we're coming back for 6. We're going to wrap it all up in a nice bow and be done with the series. He's going to leave it open at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
I almost wish he would just lock it down.
Just lock it down.
Just get maybe do one more and just do 6 more and just answer the damn questions, or at least make it make some sense. That was the problem I had. None of it. I think he never thought he would get to a point where he could answer questions.
He's kind of going the Lindelof and Hughes wrote with Lost in a way.
Yeah.
Or was back then. Now,
I think they learned from him and said, we need an end point. You need to tell us how many more seasons we can do.
Right. Or no, in the case of Lost, they came to ABC and said, we have a story that we can wrap up in X number of seasons.
Yeah.
We don't own this, but our contract is up for negotiation right now.
We can do 7.
And we'll do what we want, or if you say no, we don't agree to that, then we're going to walk and you can do whatever you want with it.
We can
and
do
ABC
7
smartly said, tell your story the way you want to tell it, as confusing and stupid at times as it was. Tell your story.
But most series, I mean, when they get to 7 seasons,
unless it's a procedural,
right? If it's a story,
I mean, because I can't think
they run out.
Are there any other shows where there's been a mystery or a crime or something that is parsed out over 5, 6, 7, 8? X-Files is fairly unique in that.
If not the first that was able to really pull it off.
Well, there was the good God. What the hell was the Fugitive?
Oh, yes.
That was a whole thing, but I have a feeling I have not seen the Fugitive series, but I'm assuming he had certain adventures along the way.
But there was no mystery. It was just a chase.
Much like David Banner was trying to find a cure, but he was helping people along the way and dodging Mr. McGee and blah, blah, blah. So
there was less of the arc than there were the standalones in those kind of series. Because The Fugitive was basically just a chase. I mean, there was no mystery. It was, is it they going to catch him or not?
Yeah.
Is he going to find the one-armed man?
Yeah. It was done so well that when they did the film, they were able to compact the entire series into one 2-hour film.
Movie, yeah.
and I didn't feel like I was missing anything.
No, because that's what it is. What else are you going gonna do?
So maybe I'll go back and watch the original Fugitive and see. Well, remember when when the final episode aired, like crime rates dropped to 0 across America.
Oh yeah,
everybody was sitting in front of their TV.
Wanted to see what happened.
Back in the day when you could command a 50 million.
Half the country. Was watching that
like
show.
The ending of MASH, or to a lesser degree the ending of Friends.
Yeah.
These days people are too busy.
I'll watch it on my phone tomorrow.
Exactly. There's no more appointment. There's very little appointment television. I mean, some people are so enamored with certain shows that they have to watch it right when they're on, and that's fine. But for most people, like, I don't even pay attention to when they're on.
Right.
I just know that they exist, and I'll catch up the episodes when I can.
Right. But like we said, the X-Files did 13.5 million viewers on Sunday.
They did
on the
did
night.
Well. I would like to see what the numbers were on Monday.
Yes,
that would be interesting. And I have a site I can go to look at that. I'll have to check.
I'm betting it wasn't that. I'm sure it did well.
No, yeah,
but I'm sure it was
probably
the drop off.
Probably north of 10, but they probably lost a couple million.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But that's
I'm sure
to be expected. Now, in addition to the X-Files, there's a good number of other shows that have been resurrected. And for the purpose of this conversation, a show being resurrected means that the production stopped and it was gone for a period of time.
Canceled or ended or otherwise.
Right. Like Community was on the cusp and they got picked up by, was it Yahoo?
Yes.
So it was on a little bit of an extended break, but it was not shut down. The contracts were still,
But it fought,
It fought.
The whole time it was on the air.
Southland didn't get picked up on, I think it was NBC.
I think it was NBC and then moved
then
to TBS.
And ran for 2 or 3 more series. Yep. One of the greatest cop shows
I've heard that,
ever.
yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. So for shows like that, that's a whole nother subject. They were saved from being after being axed.
Right.
This, for what we're talking about, are shows that have been gone, let's just say a minimum of 2 years, in some cases 10, 15 years.
Yep. That's
been gone. And of course I guess one of the OG ones. What do you think of the oldest one that got resurrected?
Oldest. Well, I mean, are we considering Family Guy in that list?
We definitely can, because it was gone for a good couple of years.
It got canceled twice, and Fox brought it back.
All right. Well, you know why they brought it back?
Because the DVD sales
were
enormous. They were like, wait a minute, what's all this money doing
Exactly.
here?
It's like, oh my gosh.
Hey, we have to get some of that.
I see a truck with money, and it's driving by us. Let's have it back up to our door.
Exactly. It's going to the DVD companies. Wait a minute.
Seth, here's a whole bunch of money. Please continue.
Yeah.
All right, I'll only come back if these shows are canceled.
Yes.
2 hours later, and we're back.
Yes. No, tell me.
Doctor Who, man.
That's true.
It was gone for 15. It was 15-ish.
It was the 80s, yeah. It was
and
after.
And came back and resurrected in 2000. They did a.
Well, they did the movie, the McGann
movie,
which was 92, 93, I want to say, which I saw. That was the first time I'd ever seen Doctor Who. And I didn't understand anything that was going on.
Right. And we got Doctor Who back. And Doctor Who is the perfect example of, like with the X-Files, you can have your quote-unquote adventure of the week.
Yeah.
But there's never really an overall arc with Doctor Who. There's little arcs. We have your Daleks that can do some stuff, and you got your Cybermen and stuff like that. But there's no, overall, like the Doctor is on a quest for this. Now, some could say the search for Gallifrey, maybe, but it's not.
Right. Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a flag on this one because that's BBC.
Right.
BBC does that way more than, America, once a show was canceled up, it can never come back again. Until now. Because the BBC,
Well, in that case, I mean, that's the BBC will do something like AbFab. They'll do like 4 series, and then the creator go, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm like, okay, bye.
Right.
And then come back 4 years later.
I want to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
so that's a little more to the model.
It's a little, and because of, it's the BBC, it's not the same, how do we put it, operating structure as the broadcast or the cable networks over here. So coming back is not as difficult. You have to prove your worth. Like it's
not as hard either. It doesn't.
But they do cancel stuff.
True.
They cancel stuff like which
for sure
angers me because there's some shows that aren't.
But back to American television.
American television.
It's again, we always say that the British model is so much better, and that's why the shows coming back is so interesting, and so wild.
Now, okay, so if we're gonna stick it to the Brits for a moment and just stick with U.S. television, then what is the next oldest that is a American-only show that came back and ran, I think, for 3 more seasons? 3 more seasons.
Give me a hint.
70s primetime soap opera.
Dark Shadows?
No, that came back as a film.
No, they tried a series. They tried a series in the 90s. It didn't last very long.
Did they?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
I remember that it was like 91, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was another like 5-episode thing that fell apart, but they definitely did it.
Well,
but it didn't. So, but we're talking successfully, full season.
Successfully, basically, if it lasted
70s?
more than a season.
I don't know.
Dallas.
That's right.
They brought Dallas
That's
back.
right. That's right.
And the only reason it's not still going is because Larry Hagman died.
Yeah.
But they brought it back. And
it did fairly well.
I think it did. I mean, I watched a little bit of it in reruns back in the day, but my interest in soap opera anything is almost zero.
Mine too. That was one of those things where that was one of the few times it was late. It was a 9 or 10 p.m. show, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
But that was well,
it's because they brought it back and sexed it up as much as possible.
Well, but what I mean is I ended up watching it because the television was commandeered by my mom. It was like, I'm watching Dallas.
You're talking about the original Dallas.
Yeah.
The original Dallas had basically, was it Charlie Tilton?
Charlie Tilton, yeah.
And
the one who actually shot him, I forget what her name was.
Kristen Davis.
Kristen Davis, yeah.
Was it Kristen?
No, that's the girl from Sex and the City. It was Kristen was the character's name.
Yeah, which is another show that they ended the TV run, but came back as films.
Right.
Doesn't really match what we're talking about here.
Exactly.
But Firefly canceled, came back as a film.
That's true. That's true. Veronica Mars.
Veronica Mars. That's a little bit different. Veronica Mars. Now that came back as a limited series, didn't it? Or
it was a film.
It was just a film.
It was just a film.
Okay, because I never watched the original, but that one
so good.
I know.
So good.
It's on the list.
I know, but so good.
I'll get my TARDIS media room and watch it at some point. But that one was unique in that no one wanted to do it, and they started I think it was either a Kickstarter.
It was a Kickstarter.
And all of a sudden, like, oh, what you've been telling us is true. Okay, I guess we'll do it because people have, put their money where their mouth is.
See, I think more so than I think that is what kind of pardon the pun kickstarted this phenomenon of stuff coming back was that Veronica Mars, Kristen Bell and Rob Thomas got together and said, hey, they have this Kickstarter thing where we could raise money. We could just kind of do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And we could, we'll try it. And we'll try to raise $2 million to make this movie. And 7 hours later, they had $3 million.
Yep.
And
that's what has already happened with another classic show that has come back by way of Kickstarter. Yeah, you think?
Show. Television show?
Yeah.
Kickstarter. Oh, Mystery Science Theater.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mystery Science Theater.
Hit yet, but
hasn't hit yet.
They got their money, though.
And I have a friend who's actually a producer on.
Do you?
Yes, I do. I was I couldn't tell you until it was official, but yeah, they had like a certain levels. Like if we come back, if we get like 4 million, we can do 2 new episodes. But since we already got the production up and running, like another $1 million for each one.
Yeah, they needed. I think they needed 14 million to do 10 or 12.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, and they, as far as I know, they got everything.
It.
They got
did.
the whole.
They're doing all 10 or 12, whatever it ended up being.
And it'll be interesting to see if they're going to follow the old crappy film, or they're going to try to make fun of more contemporary.
That's a good point.
But let's face it, no one at Warner Brothers is going to go, sure, you can go ahead and do that to the Dark Knight. We'll let you do that. That's never going to happen.
No.
And that's the reason why they use, these crappy, old, easily licensed films that...
Yeah, the public domain, nobody cares.
Not all of them.
But I mean, they were not, high priority.
Exactly.
Films,
It's like, yeah, we put it out on DVD 10 years ago and it sold 3 copies. So you want to license it for $10,000? No, sure.
Nobody was going to fight them on Mitchell. Mitchell.
They were going to remaster it and get the bonus edition. And
if they were going to do contemporary movies, they'd have to do like Gigli and Glitter and those kind of movies. See, that would be spectacular if they could do that. But there's no way they could afford them. No possible way. They're still going to have to do, maybe 80s movies, or if
at the very. My guess is that we're still going to have some black and white.
Well, see, that's the funny thing was I didn't really like it when they did the color movies on MST. It threw me off. It was like, it's got to be black and white movies.
Some of those 70s. I mean, I'm
maybe
down with it. And,
so those bad blaxploitation films.
Back in the day, before home media was quite the juggernaut that it is now, they got a lot of Godzilla films.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I've got the box sets: Godzilla versus Mothra versus Megalon versus
all the real Toho.
The old Japanese Godzilla films. Yeah. So they've got some clout. And,
God, I love that show. God, I gotta watch them again.
Dude, I have every box set that's been released.
So good.
It's huge. It takes up like 2 whole shelves in my media closet.
I'm excited. I'm excited about the new one. They got good people working on it.
Patton Oswalt, full stop. All I needed to
Patton
hear was
Oswalt and Felicia Day, and Felicia Day is the scientist.
Right.
She's
I like that.
She's great.
Who says the doctor has to be male?
Well, on the third go round, it wasn't a male doctor. It was Pearl. It was Dr. Forrester. It was like the last couple seasons when it was on.
Oh, see, I fell off.
I did too, but I mean, at least they did that.
I liked Mike. But I'm a Joel guy.
Me too.
And I quite frankly, I was rather disappointed that Joel wasn't going to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
But I can understand. I mean, okay, he's spearheading the whole thing.
At least he's involved.
Right.
And I think that's what I think I love most about this trend that's going on now is when it seems like to me when the networks and the production companies and everything,
they smell a buck.
Well, when they smell a buck and just like take a property and just throw it up and like try to redo it, it never works. It's terrible. It's bad, and it's a waste of everyone's time.
You have to have a bridge from the old to the new.
No, like a lot of these, like X-Files and stuff. It's the original people. They
right.
Get
the
casts,
yeah.
They get the production company. Chris Carter said they got as many of the original even crew that they could get.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Like he said they couldn't get everybody, but he said we got as many of the people involved.
What about that guy that was a gaffer? Like, yeah, he's now a director of cinematography.
Yeah.
With Oscar nominations. Like, can we get him?
No. But I mean,
we could. He'll be like $1 million.
Yes, and he's not going to be a gaffer.
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to gaff again. I'm not going to do that.
But I think that's one of the keys, and that's the beauty of the freedom that Netflix and Kickstarter and Indiegogo and all this stuff. It's
and Hulu and Amazon and
they're the breakdown of the gatekeepers of the 3 networks and whatever, and the smaller
4 networks.
Pardon me.
Fox, come on now. Hey, remember they laughed at Fox when they tried to launch a network. Like Married with Children. This thing's gonna fall on its face.
This dumb cartoon.
Yeah, it's gonna fall. It's on its face all the way into a big fat pile of fucking money.
Yeah.
So well done there.
But a lot of these, if not most, are the original creators, like bringing it back.
We got something along those lines when they brought back an 80s sci-fi show in the aughts.
Yes. Battlestar Galactica.
No.
Oh.
V. That's Battlestar Galactica was 70s.
Oh, that's true.
V was from the 80s.
That's true.
And they brought that back, and they reimagined. They took it from the aliens showing up. It wasn't like there was a cliffhanger at the last episode of
it didn't pick up.
Right, exactly. So it was a reimagining, but it is a return, and they did they brought back the main evil lizard woman as the mother of her original character.
Jane Badler, I think her name was.
Yes, and Morena
Baccarin
played the evil, and she was hardcore. And I was really Supergirl from from Smallville played one of the, obviously hot and sexy aliens that's a lizard underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And I was into that show. I thought it was good. It worked out.
I watched a few of them. Yeah.
I was disappointed that Robert Englund didn't show up.
Did Mark Singer show up?
I think he did, like for a hot second.
Yeah.
Kind of in the same way that Richard Hatch showed up for a hot second in the reimagining of Battlestar Galactica.
Yes. He was in it a while. He had a bunch of episodes. The Tom Zarek.
But he didn't show up until like what?
Two or three.
The third.
Yeah,
the third
but
one. But he
wasn't a one-off. He was
no. He was in fact he was a major proponent of the storyline in season, I want to say
4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's another show that they pulled back out of the past of television and brought it back.
Yeah.
And reimagined it. And
see, that's a little different though from what we're talking about because it is reimagined.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, you got canceled 10 years ago. Let's bring the whole cast together and continue it on.
Yeah, they didn't dig up Lauren Green for that.
No. What about Paul Williams? Was it Paul Williams? Some little short guy as like the Oracle that brought them to Earth. I
wouldn't be surprised if it was
Galactica 80.
Ooh, I never even.
No, stop, don't.
Never.
Because the reason the original Battlestar Galactica, one of them, was that the production was just so expensive.
Yes.
So they said, all right, we'll bring it back as Galactica 80. They found Earth now.
And now they're riding motorcycles
in the sky. And the effects that they did use were just fucking awful.
Yeah.
And anytime there was a activity around the Galactica, those same 3 shots of the Vipers and the Cylon.
They did, yeah. I mean, the original was that way as
right.
well. I mean, there was stock footage for sure in every episode.
Well, they filmed their stock footage. Every battle was pew 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 this way, pew 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 that way, and that shot.
The 3 Vipers doing the roll
exactly,
off to the left,
and that was it.
And the 3 Cylons coming.
And that's a thing that's a phenomenon that I fully support. When they say they're going to remake something and it's something that has a warm spot for people, but it was never fully realized, it was not given the time to develop. Battlestar Galactica was like that. It was just, let's face it, it's kind of cheesy in places.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I dig it. Patrick was it McEnany, the original Steed as the Cylon leader, but. In human form was kind of creepy. So they reimagined it and they did it far better than the original. I like that.
It's funny when they relaunched Galactica.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it. I was like, I don't know. I just had a bad feeling. I was like, this. I can't do it. I can't. I remember I recorded the
2-hour premiere.
The 2-hour whatever it was premiere.
Yep.
And I don't think I watched it. And I was like, I can't do this. It's gonna break my heart. It's not that I had a huge thing for Galactica, but and then whenever it was a year and a half later when they were in the middle of season 2, I was like, God damn it, I missed the boat on this so hard.
Hey, I did that with West Wing. I watched the first episode and went, nah.
Yeah.
And then after a couple of years, like, holy shit, I got to get caught up on this. And glad I did. It's one of the best shows, dramas for television ever made. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that when they reimagine something they didn't quite get there at the beginning.
Yeah.
And like there has been talk, it's been scuttled that they're going to do a remake of Labyrinth. That film was fully realized fine.
There's no reason to do
that. There's no reason to do that.
You're not going
to... From what I understand, they're going to continue the adventures in that world. So it's the world of Labyrinth, but we're not going to have the Goblin King. And I think, but he was at the center, so it kind of has to have a Goblin King, doesn't it? I don't know. The details are very, very sketchy.
Well, also the Froud family released a letter saying we haven't heard anything about this, and
Froud,
the Brian Froud, who did the artwork for the original.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
just a one. No.
Yeah, for the original, because it was based on, I think it was a book, the Book of Pressed Fairies. Was that? The Brian Froud.
Well, they didn't treat the fairies pretty. Hoggle didn't treat the fairies pretty well in Labyrinth.
Right. Yeah,
DDT.
Brian Froud wrote whatever, did the artwork, like the concept art. I forget if it was for a book or whatever, and they released a statement saying we haven't heard anything about this. So
and you know what? These things pop up that they're going to be redoing this, and one thing that they are going to redo that is definitely coming back, not TV movie, the Rocky Horror.
Yes, TV movie
as a TV movie. Now, I have two schools of thought on remaking Rocky Horror. One. That was not a perfect film.
Oh no, it's a terrible film for as a film.
But much like St. Elmo's Fire, it is beautiful and perfect in its awfulness.
Absolutely.
But a remake doesn't touch the original.
No,
it doesn't.
not at all.
Now, of course, they've got Tim Curry in this remake as the criminologist.
Yes.
Which I think is genius.
Yes.
Because on many different levels, not the least of which is he has not been at any of these conventions.
He is not champion. He has distanced himself.
He did the role. I think he did one or two interviews the year it came out, and then he has not looked or touched it since. Doesn't comment.
Very, very, very rarely.
And just recently, when they had the anniversary, he actually sat down and talked about it. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, he had a stroke, and maybe he's looking at things a little bit differently. Like, yeah, okay, this is something people really love that I did. Maybe I'll be, and he agreed to be the criminologist. I like that. That works out fine.
That's the kind of fan service I love.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, it's fan service plus it adds a level of legitimacy. Now, of course, Adler's back producing. So
see, I think that's what it is like we've said with Force Awakens. The people who grew up on the original material are now creating the material, and
in conjunction with people that worked on the original.
Exactly. When they
JJ
bring them
is working with Kirshner.
The Berlanti camp, who does all the Arrow and Flash and Supergirl and all that stuff, they are almost brazenly unabashed when they do stuff like that, because in Flash, let's say, Grant Gustin plays the Flash. His father is played by John Wesley Shipp, who was the Flash in the 90s. They brought Mark Hamill in as the Trickster, who was the Trickster in the 90s. In Supergirl, their mother and father are Dean Cain and Helen Slater.
Right. Original Supergirl and Superman.
And they do stuff like that. Yeah, one of the Superman. And they do that stuff all the time.
Lois and Clark. I never watched that show,
but it counts.
Of course, it counts.
Still, it's like he was freaking Superman, and you're making him her dad.
It's fan service.
So I love that kind of stuff when they give you enough. If it's not going to be the X-Files where it's the original leads and the original producer and original writers and all that, give us something to tie us to.
Yeah, and that's where it breaks between a continuation and a reimagining.
Yeah.
In the case of another film. Another series that came back, they couldn't get many of the people back. Heroes came back.
Yes.
For what they said was a limited series, but wink and nod, if it was successful, there would have been more.
Yes.
It was not successful.
Not enough.
There will be no more.
Yeah.
And they were not able to get Siler back.
Nope.
And Save the Cheerleader, Save the World. Nope. We'll get another blonde as her daughter. They got
Hero back. They got
Hero.
They got the Glasses Man, Noah Bennett.
And JJ's favorite guy.
I
can't remember his name.
Greg Grunberg.
Okay, got him back.
I wanted to say Snap Wexley because that's who he plays in Force Awakens.
Oh, okay. No, not that.
Yeah.
So, and diminishing returns.
I watched 3 or 4 of them, and I actually liked it a lot. I was like, this is actually pretty good. It was worth my time.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad I saw it.
I loved the first season of the first series. Loved it. Thought it was brilliant. It fell apart the second series.
It held okay, but by the end of the second series, it was limping.
Well, they got screwed by the writer's strike, too, is what it was. Right in the middle of the thing, the writer's strike hit, and they fell apart.
God damn those writers expecting to be paid fairly for their work.
The nerve is on people.
I know.
And then I hear whatever episodes of there was a third season, wasn't there?
4 seasons, I believe.
Was there? Well, whatever. Yeah,
I believe there was 4.
But it was truncated. They only got a few, and I heard it was not good.
Oh,
but
it was not good.
I didn't finish this new series that just was out, but I watched the first few. I was like, this is actually pretty good. I liked it.
And they came back for 13 on this one.
I don't even. I think it was 10 or 12 maybe. It might have been 13. Yeah, but it was it was a good length.
Yeah, and it was okay. It had a few,
like I said, I liked it.
A few little twists here and there, but that is half a reimagining and half a continuation, because some of the elements from the original one came up in this one, but it's not.
I don't mind exploring the worlds that these people create, as long as you give us some signposts and some ties back to the original.
Right. What made it popular? What made it worthy to be revisited in the first place?
Look, the prequels don't work at all. You've got Jedi and R2D2 and C-3PO, and you've got all this stuff, and it just doesn't work. There wasn't enough bridge between the two.
There wasn't enough there.
Yeah, and that's why Force Awakens is so stirring, because it's like all this brand new stuff, but the comfort zone of your Han, Chewie, and Millennium Falcon and all that stuff.
Hey, we didn't run out of time, but we have been put on a hiatus, and hopefully we'll have part 2 next week.
9 Billion Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bauman, with Abdul Beni Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Lohner. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the offices of Howard and Fine. But what about the lone gunmen? Where were they? Our intro music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shack Records and is a production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Check us out on dadsgarageradio.net. Listen on SoundCloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us, comlink@billionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Michael Reed.
Allons-y!
Audio Primate.